Hi, hello, we are back in the library, and it's time to film a book review. I'm Julian Greystoke, and if you are not familiar with my channel, I recently did what I call a read-along of another book about superheroes with disabilities. It was called The Ables. And I'm here to tell you that you shouldn't read that book. You should read this book instead. This book is called Secondhand Origin Stories. This is an indie book, and like it says on the tin, it is about superheroes, or rather the children of superheroes, not all of them are super, that are disabled, that are queer, that are just trying to find their way in life. So if those were some things that drew you to The Ables and then you didn't get in that absolute hot mess of a book, you may be able to find them here. Will I ever be happy with my shot framing? Probably not. Let's use Candy to read the synopsis. Candy is the name of my laptop, by the way. Opal has been planning to go to Chicago and join the Midwest superhero team, the Sentinels, since she was a little kid. That dream took on a more urgent tone when her superpowered dad is unjustly arrested for protecting a neighbor from an abusive situation. Now she wants to be a superhero, not only to protect people, but to get the platform to tell the world about the injustices of the Altered Persons Bureau, the government agency for everything relating to superpowers. But just after Opal's high school graduation, a supervillain with a jet and unclear motives attacks the downtown home of the Sentinels, and when Opal arrives, she finds a family on the brink of breaking apart. She meets a boy who's been developing secret and illegal brain-altering nanites right under the Sentinels' noses, another teenage superhero hopeful who looks suspiciously like a long-dead supervillain, and the completely unsuperpowered daughter of the Sentinels' leader. Can 4 teens on the fringes of the superhero world handle the corruption, danger, and family secrets they've unearthed? One thing I will say, that synopsis does make Opal sound like the main character, but actually there are multiple points of view and they are spread pretty evenly among the characters, possibly with Opal getting less screen time than some of the others. The real main characters, I would say, are the two, the inventor boy and his sister, who are the children of some big name superheroes in this world. I was a beta reader for this book many a moon ago, but it was great to finally get back with it and check it out. The author was kind enough to send me a code for an audiobook, because they know I love audiobooks, so I had to check that out. Now you guys know, just because I know the author, I'm not going to pull any punches in my review. So, the characters. My favorites are Opal and Yale, who are a little bit more side characters. Like I said, that synopsis makes it sound like Opal is a main character, but actually she feels a little bit more in the background compared to the two siblings who are really sort of the heart of the piece. They are struggling with their family, who, like I said, are very high up superheroes. Their dad is essentially like a Tony Stark type. He's like in charge. He's like, or a Superman type, not necessarily that he has those powers, but that he's just sort of in charge of the Sentinels, in charge of the Justice League. He's one of the main group of superheroes. They saved the world countless times, and so they're dealing with being his kids. The boy, as I said, is an inventor and might be a super genius. I don't know if he's really smart because it's his power or he's just really smart. And the girl is superpowered and she has a lot of health issues. So this book does deal, as I said, with disability in a lot of different ways. It deals with gender, it deals with sexuality, and it deals with racial prejudices as well. So go in knowing that all of these are going to be discussed, but I think they're discussed very well versus in, say, The Ables. I did struggle with some of the adult characters, especially since I already sort of struggle with characters and remembering characters' names and such, and we went back and forth between other people calling them by their superhero names and the kids calling them by like mom and dad or their real names, and sometimes I got a little confused about who was who and which powers they had. The world building in this is here, but it does feel a little bit limited, at least right now. Possibly it will open up more, but mostly we are just dealing with this one family in this one location for the most part. We do get a second location a little bit later on, but it does feel very small, which was a little bit weird for like a superhero book. The supervillain that was mentioned in the synopsis really felt like a non-issue, like not a non-issue, but such a non-character because it's really a lot more about the family stuff. And I didn't have a huge grasp on how this superhero world worked. I knew how the dynamics of this one superhero family worked, but I didn't really have a handle on a larger picture of the superhero world. There were hints, there were things, there were glances into it, but I would love to know even more. I would love to meet even more superheroes. I'm hoping that that's going to continue, as it is a series, and I know the author is working on the next book right now, so we might get more of that. But in this book, I was a little sad that it felt so small and so limited. However, there is a lot going on within this one place, within this tower, within this place where these superheroes live. It's, you know, very swanky, and they have apartments and everything within it, and all the family dynamics, and there is a lot going on. To the point where I felt like this story was a little bit cluttered sometimes, and I wished it would focus a little bit more with all of the drama and all of the various family dynamics, and everybody sort of with their own goals and doing their own thing, which is good. You want your characters to have their own goals and be doing their own thing, but I felt like it was too much, and for a long time I wasn't really sure what the main plot was, because yes, we have an attack and a threat, but that threat seems to kind of go away and be playing maybe on low in the background for a long time, and there was no real feeling of urgency about that threat, so it was just kind of dealing with these kids and all of the family drama, and there was just a lot. In my opinion, too many threads. It should have been pared down and made a little bit more focused, in my opinion. It felt more like a collection of side plots than a structured book with a whole story. It was like if all the side plots got together and had a big old side plot party. When the book finally did narrow down and focus, it did take a while. It was over halfway through. The kids finally get to like leave the tower, and when it did that, I absolutely loved it. I just loved them together, their banter, once it was more focused, and it also limited down the characters a bit more, because at the beginning we are dealing not only with all these kids and their interpersonal stuff, but also with the adults and their interpersonal stuff through the lens of the kids, and it's just very messy. It's like spaghetti. There's a lot of threads to follow. But once it narrowed down and focused on the kids and the threat, I liked it a lot more. It's a great moment when the kids finally get away from their parents and get to be themselves, and they have these moments that are so reminiscent. You know, I was a theater nerd, and when you're a theater nerd, you finally found your people, and you're all sitting together, and you're just talking about all these heartfelt things, talking about yourself and finding yourself, and it was just so nostalgic for when I was a teen and hanging out with my theater friends. So that scene just warmed my little heart. And I'm pretty sure that those are the author's favorite kind of scenes to write, so I think we can look forward to more of those in upcoming books, and I'm excited for that. I do wish we got a little bit more superpowers, especially like the parents and their powers, because I kind of kept forgetting like what their powers were, and maybe if I had seen them a little bit more often that would have been cool. Sometimes you could almost forget that they're superpowered at all. Maybe that was intentional, but I was a little sad because again, it's a superhero book. I'm kind of weirded out by the number of superhero books that I find that aren't really interested in the superhero part. This one wasn't quite that bad as the Ables, where they kept finding reasons for people not to use their powers, but there was still an element of that where it's like, the book is mostly about the family drama and the kids dealing with the family drama, and the fact that the family drama involves superpowers is kind of like, it could really be almost anything. It could just be a bunch of rich people dealing with rich people problems too. I could see that. But if you like family drama, this would be the book for you, because there's so much of it. I'm just going to read what I wrote here. The title, to me, implies there will be a little bit more heroing, a few more powers. You can tell the kids are going to be finding their own way, but the fact that they're superpowered or not is mostly incidental. This might be a feature for some people. Eventually they do get to use their powers, but the action scenes are thin on the ground, few and far between. It's mostly about the interpersonal stuff and the family. The disability rep in this I felt was pretty solid. There's especially a disability rep for hearing loss and deafness, which I know for a fact is own voices from the author. So if you're looking for some good representation, especially of hearing loss, this might be the one for you. There is a somewhat large plot point involving their missing aunt, Jana. Nobody knows exactly what happened to her. The kids are sort of tangentially, one of the threads is them kind of trying to figure that out. And did something shady go down? But we never meet the aunt, and we don't even really get flashbacks with her, so I wasn't connected enough with her personally to care really what had happened to her. I mean, we are worried because, like, what if that happened to another character? What if another character went missing? And the main characters do care about Jana. You feel that they loved her, but you as the reader have absolutely no connection to her, so it might have been nice if we had gotten more flashbacks or maybe a scene with her at the very beginning, something to make us, the reader, care what happened to Jana as well. Something that I noticed that might bother some people, it might not bother others, I'm just putting it out here so that you know. It didn't bother me, but as an asexual, I noticed this, because often asexuals only get to be represented by robots or aliens or whatever. There are gender fluid and non-binary characters in this, which is great. It's a great book because it uses a gender-neutral pronoun just in the text, and, like, there's not a big deal brought up about it. You just have to learn it. It's a great way to learn how to use that kind of pronoun. But I'm just going to read what I wrote. The only gender fluid / non-binary people are an AI and someone who seems more alien due to their powers. So you are looking at people who seem more alien or detached, and possibly some people might not like that, because you do, if you are gender fluid or non-binary, whatever, you do want to feel like you're just a human like everybody else. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to feel like an alien, but it just felt a little bit like, a little iffy that the only characters who are gender fluid and non-binary are so inhuman seeming. They're the least human of the characters. So those are all my notes. I'm trying to remember. The ending was okay. The climax was okay. I did listen to the audiobook, and while I didn't find it to be, like, amazing, like, above and beyond, it was nice to listen to. I don't have any complaint about the narrator or anything like that. They did a good job. So if you are looking for some intense family drama and young people finding their way with a splash of also their superheroes, definitely check out Secondhand origin stories. I enjoyed my time with it. The flaws didn't ruin it for me, and you guys know I wouldn't lie about that. I wouldn't sugarcoat it. So if I say I enjoyed it, I actually enjoyed it. You guys know I post brand new videos at least twice a week here on this channel, and if you must have even more, you can check me out over on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month you can have access to exclusive content not seen here on the regular channel, including keeping more up to date about my writing and what I'm doing, as well as lots of videos of my cute pets being adorable, so I highly recommend you check out my Patreon. If you'd like to read my book, as I am also an indie author, you can find it on Amazon Kindle and Audible, so go give it a read or a listen. It is not about superheroes. All the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo for ease of your clicking, and I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
Well, hello, traveler. Why don't you sit right down over there and I'll tell you about some of the best patrons in the whole world, like Patrick, Anne Sophie, Callison, Ray, Artemis, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Lennox. Why, I bet you've never heard of a better group of patrons in your whole life. If I go crazy, then will you still call me Superman? If I'm alive and well, will you be there holding my hand? I keep you by my side with my superhuman might, kryptonite.